You know what nobody ever told me? That while I'm sleeping, my brain is actually working. Not dreaming, working, cleaning itself out, making repairs, filing away the things I learned that day. And what I eat before I go to bed, or even just throughout the day, can either help that process along or get in the way of it. I didn't know that at 60. I didn't know it at 70, but I know it now. And today I'm going to share it with you. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly which 5 foods are scientifically shown to support your brain while you sleep, and how to start adding them this week without changing everything about the way you eat. I'm Grace. I'm 91 years old, and I still live on my own. I cook my own meals. I manage my own calendar. I remember my grandchildren's birthdays without writing them down. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying it because I want you to know what we talk about in this channel, I actually do. This isn't theory for me, this is my life. And before we go any further, one quick thing. I'm not a doctor. Everything I share today is based on real research, but please talk to your doctor before making changes, especially if you have health conditions or take medications. Your doctor knows your body in a way I never can. I just want to give you something good to bring to that conversation. Now, stick with me today, because near the end of this video, I'm going to share the one thing that most people over 70 get wrong when they're trying to support their memory. And it's not what you'd expect. It's something almost everyone does, thinking it's helping, when it's actually working against them. I'll get to that. But first, let's talk about what's actually happening in your brain while you sleep. What your brain does while you sleep. Here's something I find remarkable. When you fall asleep, your brain doesn't rest. It gets busy. It starts a process, a kind of flushing and cleaning, where it moves waste products out of the brain tissue. Scientists call this the glymphatic system. That's a fancy name. Just think of it as your brain's overnight cleaning crew. While that's happening, your brain is also doing something called memory consolidation. That means it's taking the things you experienced and learned during the day, and it's moving them from short-term storage into long-term memory. The things that stick, the things you remember weeks or months later, they got locked in during sleep. Now, here's the part that changed the way I think about food. The cleaning crew in your brain needs the right materials to do its job. It needs certain nutrients. Without them, the process doesn't work as well. The waste doesn't clear as efficiently. The memories don't consolidate as cleanly. And over time, not overnight, but over years, that starts to show up as forgetfulness. The good news? You can feed that process. You can actually eat in a way that gives your brain what it needs to do. This overnight repair work more effectively. That's what today is about. Let's go through them one by one. Food number 1, fatty fish. The first food on our list is fatty fish. That includes salmon, sardines, mackerel, and herring. If you like tuna, that counts too. Though fresh or canned in water is better than packed in oil. Now, you've probably heard that fish is good for the brain. But let me tell you why. Because when you understand the reason, it stops feeling like advice and starts feeling like common sense. Your brain is made up of about 60% fat. That surprised me the first time I heard it. We think of fat as something we're trying to get rid of. But your brain needs fat to function. And the specific kind of fat it needs most is called omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3s are the building blocks for brain cell membranes. Think of a cell as a tiny room, and the membrane as the walls of that room. When the walls are healthy and flexible, information moves in and out easily. When the walls are stiff or damaged, things slow down. Fatty fish gives your brain the material it needs to keep those walls in good shape. There's also research showing that omega-3s help reduce inflammation in the brain. Inflammation is something that increases with age, and when it goes unchecked, it can interfere with memory and clear thinking. Omega-3s help calm that down. And here's the sleep connection. Omega-3s support the production of melatonin, which is the hormone your body uses to regulate sleep. Better sleep means better overnight repair. It all works together. So, how much do you need? Most research points to about 2 servings of fatty fish per week. A serving is roughly the size of the palm of your hand, about 3 to 4 ounces. That's not a lot. I have salmon on Tuesdays. Sometimes I'll have sardines on toast on a Friday. Simple, no fuss. You don't need a recipe. You just need to make it a habit. If you truly don't like fish, and I know some of you don't, walnuts and flax seeds also contain a form of omega-3. They're not quite as potent, but they're something. And I'll mention walnuts again in a moment because they deserve their own spotlight. Food number 2, blueberries. Oh, I love this one. Because blueberries are delicious. They're easy to find. And they are doing things inside your brain that scientists are still amazed by. Here's the big idea with blueberries. They are packed with something called flavonoids, specifically a type called anthocyanins. That's the blue-purple pigment that gives blueberries their color. And those pigments do something very specific in the brain. They cross what's called the blood-brain barrier, which is a kind of protective filter your brain uses to keep harmful things out. Most things can't get through that barrier. Anthocyanins can, and once they're inside, they go to work. They protect existing brain cells from damage. They reduce oxidative stress. That's a kind of internal rust that builds up over time and damages cells. And they actually appear to help with something called neurogenesis. That's the growth of new brain cells. Yes, your brain can grow new cells, even in your 70s, 80s, and 90s. Scientists used to think that wasn't possible. Now they know it is. And blueberries appear to support that process. There's a well-known study from Harvard that followed thousands of women over many years. Those who ate more blueberries had slower rates of cognitive decline, meaning their thinking and memory stayed sharper for longer, compared to women who didn't eat them, by as much as 2.5 years of slower aging in the brain. That's from a berry, a small sweet berry. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. Fresh blueberries aren't always available. They're not always affordable. And if you are living in a smaller town or a rural area, you might not see them every week. Frozen blueberries work just as well. The research supports frozen. I always keep a bag in my freezer. In the morning, I put a handful in my oatmeal while it's still hot, and they thaw right in. Some mornings, I put them in yogurt, or I just eat them straight from a little bowl, thawed out. They're sweet, they're soft, and they take no effort whatsoever. Half a cup a day is enough to make a difference. That's all. Half a cup. Food number 3, walnuts. I promised I'd come back to walnuts, and here we are. Walnuts are remarkable. And I'll be honest with you, I resisted them for years. I thought they were dry and bitter. My daughter kept putting them in salads, and I kept picking them out. But once I understood what they were doing for my brain, I found a way to enjoy them. And now I eat them every single day. Here's why they matter. Walnuts are one of the few plant foods that contain DHA. That's one of the most important types of omega-3 fatty acid for brain health. DHA is a primary structural component of the brain and the retina of the eye. Your brain needs it to maintain connections between cells, what scientists call synapses. Those connections are where thought happens, where memory lives. When they're healthy, your brain works well. When they weaken, you start to notice the gaps. Walnuts also contain vitamin E, folate, and a compound called ellagic acid, all of which have been shown to protect brain cells from damage and support healthy brain function. And then there's this. Walnuts look like a tiny brain, 2 halves folded together. I'm not saying that means anything scientific, but I find it a charming little reminder. There are studies, including long-term research from UCLA, suggesting that regular walnut consumption is associated with better memory scores, faster information processing, and more mental flexibility in older adults. How many do you need? About a small handful, roughly 7 whole walnuts or 14 halves per day. That's your target. Now, here's how I work them in when I didn't love them plain. I sprinkle them on oatmeal. I chop them fine and mix them into cottage cheese with a little honey. I put them on top of a banana with some peanut butter. Once they're mixed into something else, the texture stops being an issue and you're getting all the benefit. Give them a week. Your brain will thank you. This is a good moment for a little story. My neighbor, she's in her late 70s, sharp as a tack, still does the crossword every morning. She came over for tea a few months ago. I put out a little dish of walnuts. She looked at them and said, "Grace, I'm not eating squirrel food." I laughed. I told her what I just told you. 2 weeks later, she called me to say she'd been putting them in her oatmeal and she'd noticed she was sleeping better. Now, was that the walnuts? Was it something else? I can't say for certain, but she's still eating them. And she said she wanted me to know. That's the thing about small changes. They have a way of adding up. Food number 4, leafy green vegetables. Now I know some of you just made a face, but stay with me because this one is too important to skip. Leafy greens, spinach, kale, collard greens, Swiss chard, arugula, even romaine lettuce are probably the single most studied food category when it comes to protecting cognitive function as we age. There's a landmark study called the MIND Diet Study. MIND stands for Mediterranean Dash, Intervention for Neurodegenerative Delay. And it found that people who ate 1 or 2 servings of leafy greens per day had brain function equivalent to people 11 years younger. 11 years. That is a staggering number. So what's in them? Leafy greens are rich in vitamin K, which plays a role in brain cell signaling. They contain folate, which helps lower a substance called homocysteine in the blood. High homocysteine levels are associated with greater risk of cognitive decline. They have lutein, which protects brain cells from oxidative stress. And they're high in nitrates, which improve blood flow to the brain. Better blood flow to the brain means more oxygen. More oxygen means sharper thinking. And during sleep, when your brain is doing its repair work, good blood flow helps everything work more efficiently. 1 serving is 1 cup of raw greens, or half a cup cooked. Cooked spinach shrinks down to almost nothing. Half a cup cooked is easy to add to almost any meal. Now, let me tell you how I do this, because I'm not someone who wants to eat a giant salad every day. I keep a bag of baby spinach in my refrigerator. It's already washed, already trimmed, ready to go. When I make scrambled eggs in the morning, I throw in a small handful of spinach right at the end. It wilts in about 30 seconds, and you can barely taste it. When I heat up soup for lunch, I drop in a handful and stir. Same thing. When I make pasta, I add spinach to the pot in the last 2 minutes of cooking. You don't have to change what you're eating. You just tuck the spinach in alongside it. That's all. Let me stop here for just a moment and check in with you. We've covered fatty fish, blueberries, walnuts, and now leafy greens. 4 down, 1 to go. If you're finding this useful, if you're taking notes or thinking, I can actually do this, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button right now, because I post a new video every week with practical advice just like this, designed specifically for people who are managing their health and independence as they get older. And if you hit the little bell icon, YouTube will let you know when I'm back. Also, I want to hear from you. Down in the comments, tell me, which one of these 4 foods are you most likely to add first? Is it the salmon, the blueberries, the walnuts, the spinach? Let me know. I read every comment, every single one, and sometimes I reply. So leave your answer down there. I'm curious to know. Now, 1 more food to go. And this one might surprise you. Food number 5. Eggs, I know. Eggs have had a complicated reputation over the years. For a long time, people were told to avoid them because of cholesterol concerns. Then the research shifted. Then it shifted again. It can feel confusing. Here's where the current science stands. For most healthy older adults, eating 1 egg per day is not a concern. But, and I always say this, talk to your own doctor because your situation may be different, especially if you have specific heart conditions or cholesterol issues. Your doctor's advice comes first, always. That said, for brain health, eggs may be one of the most powerful foods available to us. And here's why. Eggs are one of the best sources of a nutrient called choline. You may not have heard of choline, most people haven't. But it's essential for brain health in a very specific way. Choline is used by the body to make acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter. That means it's a chemical messenger in the brain. It plays a crucial role in memory, learning, and concentration. It also plays a role in muscle control and many basic bodily functions. As we age, our brains often become less efficient at producing and using acetylcholine. This is actually one of the things researchers look at when they study memory changes in older adults. Low choline intake is associated with worse memory performance, and most people over 60 don't get nearly enough of it. 1 egg yolk contains a significant amount of choline. That's the yellow part. Please don't skip the yolk. The yolk is where the nutrition is. Eggs also contain vitamin B12, which supports the protective sheath around nerve cells. Think of it like the rubber insulation around an electrical wire. When that sheath is healthy, signals travel quickly and clearly. When it breaks down, things slow down and get muddled. B12 helps maintain it. And as we age, we tend to absorb B12 less efficiently from food. So getting it from eggs and other animal products matters more, not less. And eggs are easy. You know how to make eggs. You've been making them your whole life. Scrambled, poached, soft-boiled, hard-boiled. You can make an egg in 4 minutes. You can make a hard-boiled egg on Sunday and eat it on Tuesday. There is no complicated preparation required. 1 egg a day, that's the target. Just to make sure it's whole, yolk included. The payoff, the one thing most people over 70 get wrong. Remember at the very beginning, I promised I'd share the one mistake most people make when they're trying to protect their memory. Something they think is helping, but is actually working against them. Here it is. When people start worrying about their memory, they push themselves to do more. Stay up later, get up earlier, keep the mind busy every single waking hour. Rest starts to feel like giving up. Sleep starts to feel like something they can afford to cut short. That is exactly backward. Think about everything we just talked about. The omega-3s from your salmon and walnuts, the anthocyanins from your blueberries, the choline from your eggs, the folate from your spinach. Your brain can only use those nutrients to do repair work during sleep. That cleaning crew I mentioned at the very beginning, the glymphatic system, it barely runs while you're awake. It kicks into full gear only during deep sleep. So if you're eating well but sleeping poorly, here's what that's like. You've spent all day preparing a beautiful, nourishing meal. You've set the table, everything is ready, and then the guests never show up. The food is there, the work never happens. Sleep is not optional, not for your brain. It isn't a reward you earn after a productive day. It isn't laziness, it is the whole point. It is when your brain takes everything you gave it, all the good food, all the good nutrients, and actually puts it to work. Clearing out waste, strengthening memories, repairing cells. Most older adults need 7 to 8 hours. And quality matters just as much as the quantity. Broken sleep, light sleep, sleep that gets cut short. That's not giving your brain enough time to finish the job. If you're struggling to sleep, please don't just accept it. Don't wave it off as part of getting older. Some sleep problems have real causes that a doctor can help with. You deserve to sleep well. Your brain is counting on it. And if you carry guilt about resting, I want you to hear this clearly. Rest is not weakness. Rest is not wasted time. Rest is biology. It is your brain doing some of its most important work, completely out of sight, while you lie still and let it. Eat the right foods, then sleep. That is the full picture. One without the other is only half the story. A quick word on getting started. Before I recap, I want to say something about the way change actually works. When you hear a list like this, it's tempting to try to do everything at once. Monday, you're eating salmon and blueberries and walnuts and spinach and eggs and going to bed at 9 o'clock sharp. That's not how it works. That's not how any of it works, for me or for you. Start with one thing, just one. Whichever one felt most doable to you. Whichever one made you think, I could actually do that. Start there. Do it for 1 week. Just 1 week. Then add the next one. Small changes done consistently are worth 100 times more than big changes that fall apart after 3 days. I've lived long enough to know that's true. Don't rush yourself. There's no deadline here. Your brain is ready to respond to good nutrition at any age. The door is open. You just walk through it at your own pace. Let's bring it all together quickly so you leave here feeling clear. The 5 foods that support brain repair and memory during sleep. First, fatty fish. Salmon, sardines, mackerel, herring, tuna. Aim for 2 servings a week. Rich in omega-3s that build and protect brain cells and support better sleep. Second, blueberries. Fresh or frozen, half a cup a day. Packed with anthocyanins that reduce brain inflammation, protect existing cells, and support the growth of new ones. Third, walnuts. A small daily handful. One of the only plant foods with DHA for brain cell connections, plus vitamin E and other protective compounds. Fourth, leafy greens. Spinach, kale, collard greens, romaine. 1 to 2 servings a day. Linked to brain aging that's up to 11 years slower in regular eaters. Fifth, eggs. 1 whole egg a day, yolk included. A top source of choline for memory and B12 for nerve cell protection. And the bonus truth, all of these only work if you're sleeping. Sleep is when your brain does the repair. Protect your sleep the way you protect everything else that matters. I want to end today the way I try to end every video, by reminding you that taking care of your brain is one of the most loving things you can do. Not just for yourself, but for the people who love you. The people who want you sharp, present, and here for as long as possible. You're not too old to start. I promise you that. At 91, I am still learning things that help me, still making small adjustments, still finding out that a handful of walnuts or an extra hour of sleep makes a real difference. It's never too late. And you don't have to do this alone. That's what this community is for. If you found today helpful, subscribe so you don't miss a single video, and leave me a comment telling me which food you're going to add first. I genuinely want to know. It means so much to me to hear from you. Now, next week, I'm going to be talking about something I get asked about constantly. The simple daily movements that protect your balance and keep you from falling. Movements that take less than 10 minutes a day and can be done without leaving your chair if you need to. If you've had a fall, or if you worry about falling, you do not want to miss that one. I'll see you then. Take care of yourself, dear friend. You're doing beautifully.